listening to the Stories of Subi podcast, which has been produced for the Subi East project. The Stories of Subi are brought to you by DevelopmentWA in collaboration with Creating Communities Australia. The Subi East area has a rich history, and we're bringing you conversations with the people who can provide interesting perspectives on the great memories, history, and changes they've seen. David Murray's family have lived in the Subiaco area for 126 years. David has a passion for conserving Subiaco local history, campaigning to locate and preserve Subi Oval's original turnstile gates. He's also got a lot of memories of early Subiaco as a young boy.
As the family grew over the years, I had my grandmother, 4 aunties, 5 uncles and 7 cousins living in Subi as a young boy. My family dates back to 1894. My great-great-grandparents lived in tents in the Shenton Park and Subi Oval area.
That's a big family. Dave, tell me about working at the macaroni company in Subi as a young boy.
Oh, in the 1960s, as a child, I used to work down there on a Sunday morning doing cleaning work, hanging up the macaroni and spaghetti to dry out for the week's deliveries. It belonged to my uncle and auntie, which was Frank and Lil Lombardi. It was paying 5 shillings a day at the factory, so it was worth doing.
And how old were you?
Roughly around about 8 or 9.
Were you at school at this point?
Yes.
Yeah, you were at school but working?
Yes.
Because that's just what you did?
As a family thing, yes.
Tell me about the man with cerebral palsy who sold papers when you were a kid.
This man I used to watch for many hours on the corner of Hay Street and Rockaby Road. He used to sell papers out the front of the news agency, which was right opposite the Subiaco Hotel. I got to try and meet this man, but he couldn't talk, but I was amazed, and I watched him for many hours over the weeks and months of him selling papers to the general public. His name was called Dummy, and that was made up of the people of Subiaco. He was an absolutely very courageous man for being in that set of circumstances in his life.
Did you create a friendship with him ever? Did you ever meet him?
Tried to meet him, tried to talk to him, but he found it impossible to speak, so all I could do was just look on all the time.
So did he know that you were sort of an ally of his? I
think he did. I was roughly around about 8, 9, 10, 11.
Tell me about the bulls.
The bulls and cattle were loaded at the Subiaco station alongside Market Square. In the early days, as a young child, I recall a bull or cows that got out. If this happened, there was a siren installed on the premises to allow all the people in that area to be on the watch out for loose cattle running.
So is this in the 50s?
Yes, the cattle were being transported to Fremantle possibly, or to the country, but it was holding paddocks or holding yards for the cattle at Subi Station.
And so what happened when the bull got out? Was there pandemonium?
There was with me and my mother. We just took off as quickly as we could away from that area.
Tell me about the memories of going to the Regal, to the pictures.
I used to go there a few occasions with my parents for night shows, but the best times were on Saturday matinees when all the children of the area would have the day off and we'd all assemble in the picture theatre. One of the best things on a Saturday afternoon was sitting with your mates, and we used to roll marbles and jaffas down the aisles, and once they were going down the wooden floors they would hit the seating and make a loud noise, so constantly everyone was trying to watch the movie but all you could hear was the impact of these marbles on the seats all day.
And did you get in trouble for that?
No, because no one knew. It was so dark, no one knew who was rolling them down.
You got away with it. So was the Regal in those days, was that a thing that you dressed up for?
Not really. We never had good clothes or anything like that. It's just you turn up on your daily clothes.
Subi Oval is a big place in your heart. What are some early memories of going to Subi Oval?
My early memories were when I was roughly around about 13 or 14, selling football programs, which was called the football budget those days, out the front of the heritage gates. The game would start in those days at 2 o'clock, so I'd go into the ground with free admission. I'd be able to buy my lunch, which was a hot dog or pie, and then watched the game up till 5 o'clock. After 5 o'clock, when the siren sounded and all the people departed the ground, it was a great day in collecting any loose change or cash I could find in the old wooden grandstand that was situated on the northwestern side of the ground at that time. The biggest find that I had was a 10 shilling note.
Pretty good.
It bought a lot of lollies.
When did you start really loving footy?
I followed Subiaco's roughly around about a 6 or 7 year old with strong family ties there. Subi was a very successful club in those times. The last premiership they won was in 1924. They then proceeded right through to 1959, which they made the grand final but lost. I recall that game with sad memories because it was the first chance that Subi had to win a grand final over those 70 odd years. Everyone in our area wanted Subi to win a premiership. In 1973 we did make the grand final and we played against West Perth, in which Subiaco won that game. That was the first in grand final that Subi won in 49 years. It was a great day. I recall the certain players playing a brilliant game to get Subi over the line that day.
Why does conserving the history of Subiaco matter so much to you?
I think we owe it to the pioneer families that have worked very hard with limited resources to make this an outstanding suburb that our community enjoys. With their foresight, Kings Park wouldn't be here today because of the situation of our forefathers, which was under the Subiaco suburb at that time. Their decision on making a grand park, which is still there today, was a great decision.
Why have you stayed in Subi all these years? Why do you like this area?
This area to me holds so many values, and the point is that today Subiaco is central to everything and it's just a lovely place to live.
Thanks for listening to the Stories of Subi podcast. It was created by Creating Communities Australia for DevelopmentWA.